Greetings, everyone. My name is Oscar Sanchez, and I am a sales engineer for Novell. And today we're going to be talking about doing more and spending less with Novell ZENworks. For the agenda, I got four quick topics that covers a lot of things on it, starting with working smarter and not longer showcasing some of the basic and more used Novell key features. We're also going to be talking about saving money, doing more with less. Stop touching those devices and automate everything as possible. Also, saving time, the use of the one single console, single agent for all tasks to boost efficiencies and streamline processes in your IT when it comes to managing endpoints. And finally, we're going to be talking about patch management the easy way. All right? So, when it comes to endpoints, two of the biggest pain points will always be the same, and that's not having enough time or money to do what really needs to be done. If there is endpoints, and there always is, believe me, then there is also data, and data is always at risk of being stolen or breached. And there is always the struggling to keep the workforce productive. Well, that's the reason IT exists to begin with, right? So to provide the networking services that users need to get their work done when and where and how they need it when they need it, period. So the bottom line is that endpoint management can be tasking and painful as well. So with so many options for protecting all the parts for your IT operation, it is easy to get lost in the weeds. But Novell is ready to help you take charge of those unavoidable of that unavoidable complexity. Some of the major overall points that I can see or like to pinpoint or highlight right here is that starting with the high cost of high-touch endpoint, high-touch endpoint management, the waste of everybody's time, security risk of data on endpoints as well, and workforce cannot be productive when they don't get what they need when they need it. Is that right? Correct? ZENworks is a smart, flexible way that makes your complex IT infrastructure seems like anything but complex. Besides what you need in the diagram show right now, with ZENworks you can automate to reduce IT cost. ZENworks reduces the time IT expends on common tasks. ZENworks also reduces organizational risk. And ZENworks helps you to keep the workforce productive anytime, anywhere. So the new ZENworks suite combines essential management and security functions into into a complete policy-driven solution that is also flexible enough to support whatever technology platforms that you have in place so that you manage and secure all your users, devices, and IT services throughout a unified architecture and central management console. So let's imagine easily deploying the right apps out to the right people in a matter of minutes, not hours. Imagine making sure that those apps work every time the user actually opens the application. Also, imagine giving those users the same level of high quality IT support they need to be productive, whether they are working on Anchor PCs or mobile devices inside or outside the organizational walls. Imagine giving the users a self-serve environment where they have immediate access to what they need, wherever they are and whenever they need it. Again, and the other thing is to keep going with Imagine is that because I love this just that because we're talking about work smarter and no longer. So imagine securing devices and getting those users on encrypted devices back to work in minutes, even if they forget a password. How about imagining, easily troubleshooting any fixes the user needs as quickly as possible, usually between minutes, no matter where the users are, what devices they're using, and so forth. So how, and let's keep talking about working smarter and no longer. So why ZENworks helps you work smarter and not longer. So let's highlight a few things right here. So, well, first of all, it's one central management tool. From down the hall, down the street, across the country, or around the world. Period. It doesn't matter. ZENworks is primarily user-centric, policy-based, location-aware endpoint management that allows you to manage the user and their devices. It doesn't matter what those users are, right? You're managing those devices, period, and the devices that the users actually entitles to. And then the next thing is set and forget and do not touch endpoint management. I love this one. This is one of my favorite ones, right? Set and forget, not touch endpoint management. So imagine applying policies to users and devices to direct those actions, right? Configuration that allows you that follows the users from device to device. And then we have the another one. Then we have the what I like to refer to from the cradle to the grave. This is what allows us to provision, configure, secure, and maintain and remediate all things endpoint management. Period. So when it comes to endpoint management, specializing is a waste of time. Let me explain that. You should not need a separate person or skill set or tool set to manage every different platform or OS your users bring into the company. With ZENworks, you can manage them all across the entire organization with a tool set that everyone can learn and use. All right, so things such as cross-platform distribution. Okay, so don't buy, train, or use multiple tools to manage configurations or distribute apps to users who use multiple different devices. Use a single tool. Use ZENworks to do all this. Whether it's a Windows or Mac or Linux device, it doesn't matter. How about a single adaptive agent that allows us to centrally manage once again those Windows, Macs, and Linux devices, enforcing configuration policies and rolling out new software, so you don't need to deploy and manage multiple agents to control and manage multiple devices. The multiple agent thing is a bad thing. You gotta get away from that one. Also, let's talk about imaging. So what about let's talk about directories first. Let's use directories. So ZENworks integrates with Microsoft Active Directory and NetIQ e-directory, so you can manage settings and deploy applications throughout your existing directory servers. Again, control the user and the user's devices. What about imaging? Well, I like to believe that you should use whatever works best for you, whatever you like, whatever your skill sets are. So ZENworks is there for you. ZENworks is fantastic framework that allows you to integrate whichever imaging processes or systems they use today, and leverage the delivery mechanism that ZENworks has to deploy and manage those images on those endpoints. So what about a dashboard? How ZENworks delivers that dynamic dashboard with graphical reports that provide a complete high-level view of patch compliance across your entire organization, giving you a detailed patch data for individual endpoints, so you can see exactly what your patch compliance status is at a glance, and also quickly remediate and take focus on the problems that are needed. So when it comes to asset management, I would like to say, cover your assets. ZENworks tells you exactly what you have for both hardware and software. Run reports at any time, in minutes, even for unmanaged devices. ZENworks gives you nice, neat reports and graph that shows you the details in easily consumable format. And then finally, why not manage the mobile devices as well the easy way, and as easy as you do all the other endpoints as well too. Connect and manage all your mobile devices in your organization remotely. Control thousands or tens of thousands of mobile devices without even leaving your chair. ZENworks works with vast majority of devices that the users use today, including iOS, Android, and BlackBerry devices as well too. So, three things I would like to highlight as important and great differentiators for ZENworks. the difference of ZENworks is a user-centric framework, which means that ZENworks doesn't just manage devices; it manages the people who use those devices as well. So all IT has to do, and if it wants to make a change, is or configuration change, is that go to the user devices account, make the change, and then from there the change basically cascades to every device the user works on. What about platform agnostic? What I like to say about that one? What I like to say about platform agnostic is that we don't care if you're using Windows or Linux or Macs. We don't care if you're using iOS or Android or Windows phones. ZENworks supports them all, and ZENworks runs on top of Windows or Linux servers. And finally, the integrated and awesome unified framework. Most ZENworks products are fully integrated. You manage them all through a single centralized console. We're going to be talking about that later, which means that if you know how to manage one ZENworks product, you know how to manage them all. So, the cost of management endpoint devices is a constant cost drain on your business. There's never enough of it to do everything that needs doing, much less do any of it as well as you need it, or as well as it needs to be done. So doing more with less sometimes seems like repairing the space station with duct tape. There are dozens of ways, big or small, where endpoints dribble your money down the drain. Some of these lost points you are aware of. Some of these you may not. So, but the point is that either way, endpoint management is costly, and it's costing you money. Why don't we just put the money where it needs to be reallocated and have a better use for this money rather than just putting the money away and wasting it. So let's talk about things that that are cost related when it comes to endpoint. I like to mention things such as operational costs. The need to reduce is always do. I need to reduce. I need to save. IT professionals are continually asked to stretch budgets, resources, and personnel. How about headcount, right? This is one of the biggest things right there. CIOs are pressured to optimize existing IT headcounts without compromising security, compliance, or service delivery levels. So this often puts IT management under pressure to do more with less, even as the numbers of devices they service and the number of services they are expected to provide explodes. How about software true-ups and lease rollout or rollovers? Times, dates, and contract lengths all vary, with dozens or even hundreds of vendor contracts to manage. Asset management, it comes to to a point right here, right? How about migrating to the latest Windows version? There will always be a new Windows that you have to migrate to. The cost to move to a new Windows OS can be phenomenal. However, staying on XP can cost as much as 3 times more than the migrating cost, right? So ZENworks is the answer in this case. ZENworks has application virtualization, and this is your escape from Windows XP. Alright, so how does ZENworks save you money? For once, ZENworks allows you to use what you have, know what you have with ZENworks inventory and asset management. Also, manage your software usage. How about know exactly what is actually being used, what is not used, reclaim licenses, or actually at least you limit those licenses and be on top of what is actually being used for future renewal time. How about being green? A lot of our CIOs and CTOs are looking into getting more into the green side of things, right? So how about implementing power management policies to put those devices to sleep a certain time? And how about leveraging technologies such as vPro, so you can wake up or put those devices to sleep in automatic schedules and so forth. Also, how about reducing the overhead of a standard task? This is one of my favorite ones. This is one that it's a given, right? So automating common tasks via bundles, policies, OS deployment. Remember what I talked earlier at the set of the agenda, the set and forget, the not touch endpoint. This is one of my favorites one, and it is there. This is where ZENworks actually shines as well. So With ZENworks, making changes is most often as easy as opening up a user account and clicking on a setting. There is no need for IT to travel to devices to make a change, and there is no need for users to give up their devices and being unable to use a given device until IT makes a change to it or fix it, right? So ZENworks works with what you already have. You don't need new servers, you don't need new databases or new tools to use it. You can deploy it in hours, not weeks, and it streamlines your endpoint management toolset into pretty much just one tool to manage Windows, Linux, and Mac endpoints across your enterprise. So you don't have to buy separate tools or constantly pay for training on each one. So with that, I would like to take you into a few examples on how ZENworks can help you control the cost of managing your endpoints. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples that show us how to work smarter and save money with ZENworks. Let's start with knowing what you have by leveraging the capabilities of ZENworks inventory. What I like to do is start with by selecting a workstation or a managed device and go into the inventory tab, because what we're going to talk is basically everything starts with the inventory, and it's got to be a solid inventory. At a glance, you see a little bit of information about the system that we're looking at right now. This is a Windows XP device with 512 mega RAM, a little bit of hard drive space, and the total hard drive space. Just enough information. It's, like I said, is at a glance. But if I actually want to know more about this device, I will click on this hyperlink, which is the detailed hardware and software inventory of it, which I already have opened right here. And what this report or this tab is going to show me is a lot of information that gets collected by, once again, by the power of ZENworks inventory. Things such as we collect hardware, software, any Metro apps is applicable, the hot fixes on that machine, information about drives, network drives, and virtual machines running in that machine if that's the case, contracts and history as well too. I'll give you a quick little navigation right here. So there's a lot of information with displays, but let's do a little exploration here in this case right now. So this machine happens to be a virtual machine by type. If I click on that hyperlink, I can tell that my system's telling me there's 14 virtual machines total in my environment. Very cool way to actually find out. Continue exploring a little bit more. So also on the operating system side of the house, we know there's a Windows XP, but I'm also curious about how many of the same operating system that we have in my environment. My report is telling me, my inventory is telling me that there is a total of 8 Windows XP right there, and those Windows XP machines, obviously, they're going to have to be remediated. They're going to have to be either migrated, or we're going to have to deploy the OS. Either way, we will leverage the power of the tools of ZENworks configuration management to get those devices from XP to Windows 7. Let's go back to the inventory. Let's explore a little more. So here's a quick view of the collection of hardware, and we do a great job at it. We collect as much as the device will tell us. We do a better and more impressive job at reporting software that gets inventory in that device. And the reason why we do a better job at it is because we not only interrogate the fingerprint or recognize the fingerprint of the software or the product that is installed, but we also go and actually query the add-on remove database of that device. And finally, we'll go and say, okay, but we're also going to go take a look at the MSI installs on the registry. Take a look at the registry to see what MSI products are installed as well too. So the results, you can tell, we're reporting right here how we are actually finding that information, and then we go and do a fantastic job in reconciling that for the purposes of reporting and asset management and so forth. continue exploring a little bit about how we report and find information. We give you information about not only where about the product, but we also tell you where the product is installed, and we can also tell you as well, what license key is being used for that product as well too. All right, so I'm going to keep exploring a little bit down here as well, and I'm going to find my hot fixes. We do a great job at telling you what hot fixes are in this device. Remember, I'm just now looking at that Windows XP machine, but I can tell you the part number of the hot fix. I can give you the description of what it is, and I can also tell you when was applied. If I get curious about a specific hotfix, I can take a look at it, click on the hyperlink, and tell me that this is whatever hotfix is for, and I can tell how many devices have been how many devices have I applied this hotfix to. All right. So continuing on the theme of inventory, another helpful report that I can actually run to see current state of things is an aggregated report that can tell me what's installed, what's being used on a specific OS. In this case, I picked up a Windows 7 Enterprise, and by running a report against that, I can tell what in general is being run or installed on my Windows 7 Enterprise devices. I have 57 products installed on Windows 7 Enterprise. Okay. And obviously, once again, if you get curious to figure out what's going on, who's got what, you can always click on the hyperlink, and the hyperlink give you a little more detailed information of the products and installs. All right. So another example of how ZENworks helps you to work smarter and save money is by allowing you to determine and to see how your software is being used in your enterprise. For that, I have in front of you a report that can tell me in a nutshell, really honestly, how my software is being utilized. How many installations do I have for a specific product, the total usage of that specific application, who's not using it, and so forth. So let's explore this a little bit. For example, let's pick up Word 2007 version 12. I do have 9 installations currently in my environment, but it's actually being used on 4 devices today. So it is under use 5 of those installations. We can tell how many times the application has been started on those devices, the number of hours that is being utilized, number of active hours, and so forth. And by active, we means the number of the hours that the application is sitting on the forward screen. So it's really active in front of the end user and not sitting in the background as a minimized application. In the average of days that the application is being used. So this little example right here, truly, honestly, it helps you to figure out things such as, okay, so I'm paying X amount of fee for a product, and I'm renewing 9 licenses of this product, when in reality only 4 are actually being used. So once again, knowing what you have, it allows you and it helps you make intelligent decisions when it comes to renewal time or our contract renewal time for licenses and so forth. So remember we mentioned how to save money by reducing electrical cost at the beginning of this conversation. Well, let's go and show an example of what a ZENworks power policy can do to help you accomplish that. So let's pick up my policy example right here. Let's go into detail. So ZENworks manage power settings on a device by creating a power scheme, right? This power scheme basically, or policy, lets you configure the plug-in or battery settings and assign them to a device or a user. Uh, some of the things that can be done, for example, if you, as you can see in front of you, is that how long your hard drive is inactive before it turns off and so forth. Things such as the slideshow, the direction, for which you want the desktop background, the slide to show on before, or things such as like the display, for example. About how long do you wait before you dim the displays and so forth. So the point here is that once you craft the policy to do what you're wanting to do, and now you've tested the policy, now you're ready to impress your CEO, your CTO, your CFO. Now you're ready to actually go and assign this policy to, once again, to either a device, workstations, a group of workstations, single device, or a group of devices, or even perhaps an office somewhere. Okay. Also, of course, once you do that, at that point, once the device is in place, then you can actually run reports to see how in compliance those devices are. Once again, this is another way to truly save money by reducing the amount of electrical costs that your devices are using out there, and you are in control of doing that by ZENworks, by using ZENworks. So we also talked about reducing, saving, actually working smarter and saving money by reducing the overhead of standard tasks, things such as automating tasks via the bundles and creating bundles, smart bundles, policies, and OS deployments. So remember, we'll also talk about things such as the set and forget, the not touch endpoint management thing. So let's go take a look at how ZENworks accomplished that. Let's take a look at a bundle. In this case, I'm selecting iTunes, and I'm going to briefly go over a few things that makes the ZENworks the right tool for automating tasks when it comes to deploying applications. So if you look at the Actions tab, I'm going to give you a quick example of the ability to truly craft everything that is required for an application to run and to run well on a device or on an endpoint. Not just necessarily just running an executable or running an MSI exec with certain parameters and so forth. So ZENworks allows you to truly create the logic required to make that application run the way you want to. We facilitate all that. We provide you the ability to create the logic required to do that. I'm gonna let you explore. We're gonna explore some of the features right here. One of the things that we can actually do is actually also defines requirements for this application to run. And the reason I'm showing them things like this is because once I'm actually define the settings, the logic that is required for this application to run, like I said, set and forget. Once I get my application running the way I want to, I have tested that application 100% everywhere, then I actually go and deploy that application once again to individual workstations, like we already talked about, the group of workstations, and also perhaps even an office, or even perhaps the entire organization as well too. Right, but remember, we talked about things such as ZENworks being user-centric. I can also go and assign this application to a user. In this case, a user by definition, in this case, is actually a user that is actually integrated by means of, in this case, a LDAP directory. And this LDAP directory that is configured in my environment as an active directory. I can go choose a user and also assign that application iTunes. Okay, so once again, setting and forget, being able to configure applications one time that I know is going to work. It's going to allow me to avoid duplication. I know that I'm configuring an application exactly the same way that I want it to work, and I'm going to make this application once, not multiple times, and I don't have to send a technician out there to actually configure the application and send it out. Another example of the how we can save you money in the work smarter is by leveraging in the power of automation of task. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the device. I'm going to grab this Windows 7 machine, and I'm going to show you real quick, how quickly from this console, once again, the ZENworks Configuration Center, it allows me to manage things, multiple tasks that normally would require a technician to go and touch the device. Things such as, refreshing the device, applying full disk encryption policies from my desk, from across the street, from across the country. It doesn't matter. I'm sitting in front of my ZENworks Configuration Center tool, and I can do all this management from it. I can scan the device. I can install a bundle. I can install applications. I can run applications scripts, Viva scripts, Java scripts, bash files. It doesn't matter. I can go and do a little more stuff. I can actually do things such as assign a policy. I can actually remote control the workstation. I can take an image of the machine or apply an image. Remember those Windows XP that we talked about? I can actually go and apply an image, a Windows 7 image to those devices, and the next time the machine comes up, guess what? ZENworks will take care of delivering that OS to that device. So once again, what I'm showing here is the fact that I'm sitting on my desk. I'm using ZENworks Configuration Center to automate common tasks that normally require a lot of user innovation or an IT representative to actually go and touch those devices. So we can save you money and help you work smarter by knowing what you have there and what and how it's being used. By determining the any over or under use of software, by saving electrical costs by implementing power policies, as you saw in examples, and also by automating common tasks to apply software policies, distribute images, and so forth, and avoid having the tech support to visit the users and or those devices.